This video is in response to Stephanie Perry's video today. Are Black women employees in shackles? Reclaim your time. So many of you follow Stephanie Perry, just as I do, and love to watch her videos. This video struck home for me. So I wanted to take a moment to do a response to this video from the perspective, not only as a toxic job survivor and a toxic job liberator for Black women, but also as a licensed clinical psychologist who works with Black women in therapy and coaching. So I wanted to talk about the tips that Stephanie offers in terms of assessing or evaluating if you may be in a situation at your toxic job that may mirror plantation to the point where your job is really the master of you. So a lot of times in my videos, I've talked about so many parallels between a toxic job and a plantation, that sense of fear, that you can't leave, that sense of ownership, that a job owns you, that the job is all consuming for you, that sense that there's nowhere else you can go in terms of you leave. So there's so many different parallels. So I want to take a moment to really go over the assessment that Stephanie offered, just in terms of for you to really reflect on if this is you, and particularly as we are in Juneteenth celebration weekend, this is an ideal time for us to really reflect on what is freedom for us and are we really liberated in our lives? And if not, let us look at what are the things in our lives that are shackling us in some way and that are harming us. So I have on my favorite t-shirt today. Well, one of my favorite t-shirts. My ancestors' wildest dreams, and you are too. And as we are in Juneteenth celebration weekend, for us to really evaluate and think about that our ancestors went through so much for us to be here right now. And they didn't have options, but we do. We do because of what they've gone through. So again, I'm going to go over the quiz that Stephanie came up with, and I'm just going to give my reflections on these items. If you don't know me already, I'm Dr. Kamani. Again, I said I was a licensed clinical psychologist, a toxic job survivor, a toxic job liberator for Black women, but I am moving on the other end, right? So I have gone through being enslaved in a very toxic environment, but I found my freedom. And the path to freedom has not been easy. It's been a lot of fear, but I still move forward. And my hope is that you're able to see what I have talked about in terms of my own experiences, as well as what other Black women, my guests, have talked about in terms of their journey. And you're able to see, you maybe learn from us in terms of what we've done, but also that you're able to see that we have walked through the fear and we are on the other side. We have left the plantation and we are doing well. So in terms of other opportunities, other ways for us to replace our income. So we're not just out here just living it up and not having to replace our income. There's different ways for you to replace your income, even though it might seem scary. So one thing I want to say before I go into Stephanie's quiz is that for Juneteenth Liberation Weekend, I'm offering a 20% discount for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit replay. So the live is already over. So we had 300 Black women in attendance. It was amazing. So the live is over, but you can access the replay. And again, for Juneteenth weekend, so closing Monday night, the discount will be over. So it'll be a 20% discount off of the replay. And you can easily get that by, as you see on the screen, the information about how to get that is there. And it'll also be in the description section. So once you click the link and you're moving forward to purchasing, you just write in the the coupon code, you just write liberation. Okay. So let me get into Stephanie's quiz. And I invite you, if you haven't already done this, I invite you to really think about these for yourself. Okay. So number one, is your job your pathway to value or validation? So thinking about when you introduce yourself, when you think about your life, does your job take the main focus of that? So if you meet someone new, are you introducing yourself in relation to your job title? Are you, regularly talking about your job, and your job makes you feel better about yourself. So it's how you define yourself. So when you think about seeking anything that's outside of you for validation, that puts you in a very compromised position because you are constantly seeking approval from other people as opposed to really looking within and knowing your own worth. Because when people recognize that you don't know your worth or that you are really equating your worth to a job title, then they have something over on you and they can constantly control you and manipulate you. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, what would I even do if I didn't work? So thinking about if you didn't have that particular job, and this ties into the other one. So if your job title, if your job defines who you are, you can't even conceive of what your life would look like if you did not have that particular job. And that ties into that sense that, and again, that fear mentality at plantations, that there's no other place you can go. So when you think about your job, do you think, so again, assess for yourself, are you thinking, if I leave this job, there's no other place where I can make an income? There's no other way I can replace my income. There's no other jobs available. Are you starting to think that scarcity mindset, which is based upon fear? Okay. Number three, does your job reciprocate your loyalty? So we know as Black women, we work extremely hard. We go up and above, okay? And think about when you go up and above, taking the work home at night, during the week, doing work on the weekends, giving up and above. Is that job also looking out for you when you might need some support, right? Is the job valuing you in the sense that when you think about a lot of jobs, the employees are expendable. And I know today in Stephanie Perry's live, there was some discussion in the chat, and the chat was really good today. There was some discussion in the chat about if certain jobs are more stable or secure, such as government jobs or other certain jobs. And I just wrote in the chat that even though these jobs might seem secure, what they do is a very scary tactic. So I worked at a government job, but they sometimes do this really shady thing or things where they make you so miserable at the job, micromanaging you, gossiping about you, throwing you under the bus, so many things that they might do. They make it so uncomfortable for you that they kind of push you out, right? So they may not fire you, but they push you out because they make your life miserable, okay? So think about that. So we might think or try to do all these things and dedicate so much time and energy to a job, but the job, do they value you? Are you seen as expendable too? Or are they engaging in behaviors to push you at that job? Okay. Number four, this is the big one. Okay. Does your job control your access to healthcare? So when I think about the difficulties I had with leaving a very toxic job, a lot of it dealt with how am I going to replace my income? But another big component was, what about my healthcare benefits? And that might be the same for you. So I invite you to think about this. So something that Stephanie said, are your healthcare benefits tied to your job? And are you accessing your healthcare benefits because the job is making you sick? Okay. So if you recognize that you're going to the doctor, your blood pressure is going up, you're gaining weight, you're tired all the time, you have stomach problems all the time, you have headaches, whatever that might be, if you are accessing your good healthcare benefits because of the job, I don't know, maybe the job is the master of you. Okay. So just evaluate that. Okay. Number five, does your job control other ways you make money? So if you are working a job and that's the only source of income that you have, that puts you in a really kind of precarious situation because what happens when that job is no more? So we see layoffs a lot. We see other situations where people are no longer working. And if you have that one job as the only source of income, right? So thinking about, are there other ways for you can have other streams of income, which is more beneficial? So that's something that we talked about in the Job Liberation Virtual Summit is how do we create multiple streams of income? What are ways to replace our income if we leave a toxic job? And what are our different options? Okay, so think about that. Are you giving so much to this toxic job, maybe trying to make it better, maybe trying to prove things to people? I've heard this one about not letting a job, they're not going to run me out of here. I'm going to make them respect me. But think about all that energy that you're putting in. And are you able to think about other ways that you can also create multiple streams of income? Or are you spending all your mental energy on fighting people at the job, right? So you're fighting to do your job. Think about that, okay? And then the last question that Stephanie brought up is your job a means to an end or an end to itself? So are you going in, you have your set hours, you go and do what you need to do, boom, 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 and it's done, and you recognize that a job is just a way for you to make money so you can pay your bills and live your life and go on vacations? Or is a job all consuming? Does it become your whole life? Okay. So again, I invite you to think about, reflect on these questions that Stephanie came up with. I think they're really, really good. And when you think about these questions, be honest with yourself and maybe don't come up with like really quick decisions or answers to these questions. As I tell my clients many times, just marinate on them, just marinate and just really reflect on these things. So if you are in situations where you marinate on them, you're like, oh my gosh, you answer one or more of these, then I co-sign what Stephanie said. Please think about ways you can reclaim your time. And also our Auntie Maxie Waters. How can you reclaim your time from a toxic job? What does that look like? And if you're stuck, then maybe watch my YouTube channel videos. Maybe that might help you in terms of sharing information with you. Maybe you could see yourself in examples of maybe me and or other Black women who are sharing their journeys of leaving a toxic job, and or get the replay of the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. As I mentioned before, Juneteenth discount, which starts today and ends on Monday night. Okay. So you get 20% off of the replay. Again, you just click the link to register. And then where there's a part where it says coupon code, just type in liberation. Okay. So thank you for watching. And again, I want you to watch Stephanie's video too, because it was really good, especially the chat. Read the chat. I will put her video in the description section as well. And if you don't know me, and you're like, wow, I don't even know how I got across this channel, but you like the content that I'm sharing. I share a lot of information about helping Black women leave and heal from toxic jobs. And I understand that leaving a job is not easy. It's not something that we do in haste, usually, unless we're in an immediate situation where we have to get out of a job. But we really need to think about how to plan and how to exit plan. And my hope is that my YouTube channel provides different resources for you. And also, again, you're able to see other people who look like you, other Black women who have gone through the journey. They're on the other side. And I'm telling you, I've never interviewed a Black woman ever. In the whole 2 years, I think I've been on YouTube, I've never interviewed a Black woman who has said that she regrets leaving a toxic job. And that's myself included, okay? The only regret that I have is that I didn't leave sooner, okay? But I have to practice self-forgiveness with that. And you may too, right? There might be things that you've encountered at your job or that you're encountering right now at your job, and you might be beating yourself up. Release yourself from that. Don't beat yourself up. There's nothing good that can come out of it, okay? But what you can do is channel that energy into planning, into exit planning. So again, the Job Liberation Virtual Summit discount, Juneteenth discount ends on Monday, 20% off of the replay. And if you haven't already given this video a thumbs up, please do so. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and turn the notification bell so you know when I go live or I upload another video. And the ask is that you share this video with at least 2 other Black women, okay? So I will see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.